Coming up on ABC5's Early News, out with the old and in with the new. A change of command as Yuma County welcomes a new sheriff. Plus, we remember the life of one of this nation's most well-known military heroes. And armed volunteers patrolling some Arizona schools? It could happen very soon, and plenty of parents aren't too excited about it. The controversial story and lots more. ABC5 News starts now.
From Yuma and San Luis to El Centro and the Imperial Valley, this is ABC5 News.
Hello and good evening. Thank you for joining us for ABC5's Early News. I'm Anna Hayes. Well, there's a new sheriff in town. After 20 years of service, Yuma County Sheriff Ralph Ogden hands the sheriff badge over to Leon Wilmot. As Mauricio Maroon reports, Wilmot says, among many other things, he plans to keep Yuma kids a top priority.
I want you to know how proud I am to have been your leader.
Yuma County Sheriff Ralph Ogden thanking the men and women who've served with him since he first became sheriff back in 1992.
It's been great. It's been a long ride. It's been 42 years and 20 years as sheriff, but I wouldn't change a thing.
At a ceremony this morning at the Yuma County Fairgrounds, Sheriff Ogden turned over power to new sheriff Leon Wilmot.
I'm truly honored and blessed that the citizens of Yuma County elected me as the sheriff to continue with that vision and that mission of taking care of Yuma County as a whole.
Wilmot first started as a reserve deputy back in 1985.
It's been a great honor and a privilege to be your chief deputy for the last 8 years and to work side by side with you.
And worked his way up to second in command. Last month, voters chose him to be the next sheriff. Outgoing Sheriff Ogden says he can't think of a better man to replace him.
He's a good man. He knows what needs to be done. I've assured him that I will be in the wings if he ever has a question. But I've also told him not to call me after 5 o'clock at night. So.
Now, Wilmot tells us he plans to reach out to the younger generation.
My whole campaign was to get our officers back in with the schools, to build that gap, that communication gap between our youth that are our leaders for tomorrow.
As for Ogden, well, he told us his greatest accomplishment as sheriff has been to
We've been able to put together a team that can really provide class law enforcement for our community, make them feel safe.
And he says he's confident the new sheriff will uphold that service. Mauricio Marin, ABC5 News.
The country's economy and your taxes are hanging by the thread. The so-called fiscal cliff is only 4 days away. And just a short while ago, President Obama held a press conference to tell the country what's being done to avoid steep tax increases and massive budget cuts. ABC's Tamon Bradley has the very latest.
Congressional leaders left the White House today without a deal to avoid the fiscal cliff, but the leaders and the president are still trying.
I'm modestly optimistic that an agreement can be achieved. Nobody's going to get 100% of what they want, but let's make sure that middle-class families and the American economy, and in fact the world economy, aren't adversely impacted because people can't do their jobs.
During the 70-minute White House meeting, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and the Republican leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, agreed to spend the weekend working on a fallback plan that can pass both chambers of Congress.
Whatever we come up with is going to be imperfect, and some people aren't going to like it. Some people will like it less, but that's where we are.
President Obama is pushing for a stopgap measure that would at least avoid tax increases on people earning less than $250,000 and extend long-term unemployment benefits. On Capitol Hill, frustration is growing.
They're sitting around down at the White House like it was a Harvard Law Review meeting.
A simple stopgap measure, which looks like the only thing possible before the new year, is not what many in Washington had hoped for. Republicans blame President Obama for the collapse of a bigger deal that would have cut spending and reduced the country's debt.
It is the president's responsibility to lay out a plan and to bring people together.
The legislative path forward rests in the hands of the Senate, since House members don't get back here until Sunday night. Tamon Bradley, ABC News, Washington.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Well, it was a chilly day today here in the desert Southwest, but I'm hoping for a warm New Year's. Here's Carlene Chavis now with a quick look at our local weather forecast. Carlene?
Good evening. Yesterday we hit an average of 68 degrees. That's the norm for this time of the year. We actually hit a high of 63. Now as we go into the next couple of days, we're still talking about below normal temperatures. Also Sunday, building up with the clouds, so we'll have a storm system moving through. Could bring a very slim chance of any shower activity, mainly to the west of us though. Warming trend as we go into the new year. All that on your 7-day coming up. So I'm going to toss it back to you, Anna.
Thanks, Carlene. Well, good news for those of you who use the Calexico East port of entry. Customs and Border Protection will open 3 extra lanes at that entry for the next 2 Sundays. So that's starting on this Sunday. CBP will be using commercial cargo truck lanes for regular traffic on December 30th and January 6th. Officers say they're hoping this will alleviate some of that holiday traffic and speed things up at the ports of entry in Imperial County. Well, now to the death of a true military hero, a man President Obama has called an American original. He was a 4-star general, but most Americans simply knew him as Stormin' Norman. Here's more on this incredible man.
How you doing?
In 1990, Norman Schwarzkopf was a little-known U.S. Army general looking towards retirement. A West Point graduate and decorated officer for his service in Vietnam, he'd spent his entire career in the Army. But when Iraq's dictator Saddam Hussein invaded neighboring Kuwait in 1990, Stormin' Norman became a household name.
Let me put it this way, it's going to take as long as it takes for the Iraqis to get out of Kuwait and the United Nations resolutions to be enforced.
As the leader of the U.S.-led international coalition that quickly drove Iraqi forces out of Kuwait, Schwarzkopf achieved rock star status. He returned from the Persian Gulf a national hero and was awarded the Medal of Freedom for service to his country. After retirement, he declined offers from both parties to run for political office. President George H.W. Bush issued a statement saying, General Norman Schwarzkopf epitomized the duty service country creed that has defended our freedom and seen this great nation through our most trying international crises. Barbara and I mourn the loss of a true American patriot and one of the great military leaders of his generation. General Norman Schwarzkopf was 78.
Well, here's a look at what's coming up on ABC5 News. More wild weather up north. Take a look at that video. Just watching it makes me cold. Hear what parts of Canada were slammed with the white stuff. Plus, some creative souls in Alaska use all that snow to create one magical exhibit. Stay with us. Welcome back. 2 brothers in court this morning suspected of robbing a bank yesterday. ABC5 News reporter Mauricio Marin joins us now. And Mauricio, what exactly happened in that courtroom?
Anna, good evening. An emotional day in court. Jesus and Nestor Alaniza's family crying as each brother stood before Judge Stewart in their initial court appearance this morning. Yuma police say both brothers tried robbing the Wells Fargo near the Southgate Mall. They each faced 3 felony charges that include robbery, burglary, and theft. Now, Yuma police say Jesus went inside the bank and demanded cash. He ran away after police arrived. In court, prosecutors say Jesus had a scarf around his face with dark glasses and a hoodie. Prosecutors say he also admitted to police that his brother Nestor was supposed to wait outside to drive him to Mexico right after the robbery. Nestor insisted he's innocent and asked Judge Stewart to let him go.
If you grant me the chance, opportunity to go back home, you know, where I feel more safe at, I will show up to the courts that I'm needed to.
Despite Nestor's plea, his bond has been set at $50,000. His brother Jesus' bond has been set at $200,000 because of another case involving stolen guns. They're due back in court for arraignment next week. Anna, back to you.
Well, it's almost the new year, a time when so many people overdo it, especially when it comes to drinking. That's exactly why City of Yuma Police are asking us all to ring in 2013 safely. The department will be conducting impaired driving enforcement detail on Monday. That means extra officers will be on duty, specifically looking for people driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Now, one way police say you can avoid a DUI, save the number to a cab company in your cell phone, and call when you're ready for a ride. And another reminder, a similar situation on the other side of the river. California Highway Patrol kicked off the New Year's maximum enforcement period today. That agency says designate a driver before you head out to celebrate the new year. And remember to do the simple things like wear a seatbelt and watch your speed. Well, coming up on ABC5's Early News, a controversial idea coming out of one Arizona school district, an armed posse guarding school kids. We'll have all the details, plus a look at the freezing weather up north and our complete local forecast. Stay with us.
You're watching ABC5 News with Anna Hayes and Carlene Chavis with weather.
This footage is the reason so many of our winter visitors hail from Canada. Take a look. A major winter storm has disrupted traffic and grounded flights all across Canada. The storm dumped 4 to 8 inches of snow on the Toronto region yesterday before moving east towards Ottawa and Montreal. Now, Canadian media reported that the storm delivered a record-breaking amount of snow to the area, nearly 20 inches of snow in Montreal, beating the previous one-day record of 16.9. This was the first major storm of the winter for much of southwestern Ontario. Winter and storm warnings were in place for parts of southern Canada as well. Like I said, this is the reason so many people from up north come here for the winter. And what better place to be? It was another gorgeous day. Carlene Chavis is here now with a complete look at our local weather forecast. Carlene?
Good evening. We had mostly clear skies earlier today in the desert, but we'll have a little bit more cloud cover moving in as we hit the weekend. So as we go into tonight, mostly clear and a few stray clouds here and there. Cool temperatures at 8 p.m., 52 degrees in Yuma. By 11, 48 degrees. So very chilly as we get into the overnight temperature of 42 degrees in Yuma, mostly clear, and also light winds shifting out of the northeast 5 miles per hour. Here's the setup. We still have high pressure in our area, so reason because we have all the clear skies, that's why we get so cold once that sun does go down. So chilly overnight lows as we go into your weekend forecast, but this area of low pressure, this cold front that will move through, will only offer up a slight chance that we could see some showers, mainly in El Centro, so Imperial County, a slight chance as we hit Saturday into your Sunday, but those clouds will continue to really build up into Sunday. So as we set the clock in motion, clouds moving in as well as precipitation mainly to the west of us. So once again, a few clouds, but partly sunny skies as we hit your Sunday, the last Sunday, as we get into 2013. So for your Saturday forecast, 63 degrees will be the daytime high in Yuma. Mostly sunny skies, a few stray clouds, winds about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Throughout most of the Desert Valley for tomorrow, 63 degrees in Winter Haven, 63 in San Luis, 62 in Welton, El Centro at 64 degrees for a high tomorrow. Taking a look at your 7-day planning forecast, your weekend is always in view. Once again, the build up of the clouds will be on Sunday, partly sunny skies, 64. Let's talk about the new year. Getting into your new year for the first official day of 2013. 60 degrees will be the high for Tuesday, and then we're going to hit a warming trend. So 63 on Wednesday, double sixes on Thursday. Overnight lows very chilly for the next couple days. Back to you, Anna.
Well, the Christmas season is over and those decorations are slowly coming down. Real Christmas trees are a must in my house, but I know all too well they dry out very quickly. So for those of you in Imperial County, CR&R Waste will be picking up Christmas trees beginning the first week of January until the 25th of January. CR&R says to simply put your dead tree out by your trash cans the day of service in your neighborhood, and they'll get rid of that tree for you. Well, Anna Chalk is here now with a look at what you can catch tonight on the later edition of ABC5 News. Anna?
Hey, Anna, thanks. More and more stories continue to pour out of that tragic shooting in Newtown, Connecticut. And I know you'll be talking about that in just a bit, but check this out. Geneticists are now in on that investigation of the incident. In fact, they're combing through Adam Lanza's DNA, and what they're looking for is pretty interesting. And fascinating new technology coming from the military is helping paralyzed people get on their feet again. Be sure to join me again tonight at 10/9 Pacific for the later edition of ABC5 News. That's on after the second part of Back to the Beginning with Christiane Amanpour. In the meantime, Anna Hayes, it's all yours.
Well, thanks, Anna. And like you said, coming up, I'll have the very latest from Newtown, where they are telling people to stop sending donations, why they just can't take any more when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, a controversial Arizona sheriff is making headlines today. He's considering having some of his armed volunteer officers patrol schools in the Phoenix area. It's part of an effort to prevent a tragedy like the one that happened in Newtown, Connecticut this month. Jason Valentine reports.
It's a proven function. Nobody can go against my posse.
The often outspoken sheriff of Maricopa County says he won't get bogged down in the political discussions about arming teachers or gun control.
They're going to be talking about the guns now for years. But I have the certain resources at my disposal. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to do it.
Bear true faith. For nearly 20 years, Sheriff Joe's been using his armed volunteer posse to keep malls safe during the holidays. This year, their efforts led to a record 31 arrests, and according to Arpaio, it'll work just as well at keeping schools safe.
Sometimes you want to take action before you get into the school. You can solve a big problem.
He says the posses wouldn't actually be in the schools, but rather patrolling the perimeter of the 50 or so grade, middle, and high schools in towns that fall under the jurisdiction of the sheriff's office.
I don't know if they agreed or not. We'll coordinate with them.
And he says the Mesa teenager recently arrested for making threats to kill fellow students is a perfect example of why posse patrols are needed.
She had to bomb the school, the 3 guns. You can prevent some of these situations from occurring.
Well, Sheriff Arpaio's plan comes after the state attorney general and another county sheriff said they supported arming teachers and principals. Arpaio wouldn't comment on whether he agrees with that proposal. Well, donations are still pouring into Newtown almost 2 weeks after 20 children and 6 of their teachers and school administrators were killed. Town officials say they're overwhelmed by people's generosity and love, but officials are running into a problem. They need more space. Boxes of toys, teddy bears, and school supplies are quickly filling up a big warehouse in Newtown. The donations are coming from all around the nation. Now a national disaster response team is helping to inventory each of the items. Officials say they'll eventually form a committee who will decide how all of those donations will be divided. And if you want to show your support for the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting, you can do that right here in Yuma. Johnson Mortuary and Desert Lawn Memorial Park is having a service followed by a dove release tomorrow. The service starts at 10 a.m. like we just told you, Newtown has asked people stop sending donations. However, organizers told me today that if you'd like to bring a teddy bear to this service, they'll donate that to elementary schools here locally so that kids here can always remember the victims of the Sandy Hook shootings. Well, today, Russia's government passed a controversial bill banning Americans from adopting Russian children. ABC's Annalisa Petralia has the latest on this emotional story.
Russian President Vladimir Putin made the ban official Friday morning, signing the bill to prevent American families from adopting Russian orphans. The move is breaking the hearts of American couples who were already in the process of becoming parents to the Russian children. Many of the children had special needs. Britt and Jamie Ventura were trying to adopt a Russian baby with Down syndrome. The new law stops him from leaving Russia.
It's really unbelievable that that's the place that you're at where, I mean, this little boy we consider one of our children already.
The law is in retaliation for a recently passed U.S. law that calls for sanctions against Russian officials who violated human rights. The move has even angered some Russians who argue it victimizes children just to make a political point. Kayla Anderson was first named Olga before she arrived in the U.S. in 1992. She is the first baby born in Moscow to be adopted by an American family.
It just makes me feel so good that I have a family here versus if I were over there, I would be in an orphanage.
Americans have adopted over 60,000 Russian children in the last 20 years, but Russian officials point to the 19 children who died after being adopted by their American parents. There's also the case of 7-year-old Ortiem, who was sent back to Russia by his adoptive American mother, carrying a note saying he'd become too difficult to handle. The State Department issued a statement today expressing deep regret over the Russian law, calling it politically motivated. The U.S. is also asking that children who have already bonded with their parents be allowed to finish up the process so they can join their families here in the United States. Annalisa Petralia, ABC News, New York.
Well, there's still lots ahead for us here on ABC5 Early News. An interesting medium for some artists, how they're using ice to ring in the new year when we come back. preparations are underway for the famous New Year's Eve ball drop at New York's Times Square. Workers installed Waterford crystal triangles on the ceremonial ball at a media event. The ball has 288 crystal panels and will drop down a 141-foot tall flagpole to usher in 2013. The crystal panels have doves chiseled into them for a theme, Let There Be Peace. More than 1 billion people across the world are expected to watch the ball drop on TV. And with New Year's just around the corner, like I just said, a group of ice sculptors from Harbin, China made their way to downtown Anchorage to build an interactive ice park. Although Harbin, China is known for its International Ice and Snow Sculpture Festival, this group made its name by traveling the globe and showcasing their skills. The group won the World Ice Art Championship in Fairbanks in 2007. Didn't know there was such a thing. Well, this year the group is carving the Children's Park for the Downtown Partnership's 80s New Year's Eve celebration. And we want to end our show tonight on a bittersweet note. Today was the lovely Lindsay Koopman's last day here at our station. You've certainly seen her over the past couple of years on our station, bringing you all the programming information you need, and of course giving out lots of awesome prizes and tickets too. Lindsay's off on a brand new adventure, so we're happy for her. We celebrated her departure today with a delicious lunch at Burgers and Beer. And I will miss her lots. I know she welcomed me with open arms when I first got to this station a few months ago, so I'm sad to see her go. But we do all wish her the very best of luck on her new adventure. Thanks for tuning in. That's our show for tonight. Have a great weekend and stay tuned for the later edition of ABC5 News with Anna Chalk at 10/9 Pacific. Everyone have a great night and a great weekend.